Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. You may sometime when we do opening prayer. Sometimes people like to do short one. I think they feel like taking too long on the opening prayer. But my teacher, he always has said, when we're starting every morning we do a short mandala offering, and there's a certain practice, and he said in his tradition, which is come from the Nyingma Khenpo Shenga's tradition, one of the great master, he wrote commentary. So his tradition, when you finish 13 major texts study, same time you also finish the ngondro, because when you come in, you do prostration and you do mandala offering and guru yoga supplication, and also so those become a part of the ngondro. So even you not really did ngondro retreat, you will receive directly transmission and instruction on the actually teaching. So that way he always has said, whenever you do even just opening prayer, really concentrate on that. That is becoming part of the preliminary practice, so I think that's really important doing that one. So that way you're not going to think, oh, every time we come for the year teaching, but they waste lots of time, our time to just chanting this prayer every day. It's the same things. But I think we have to repeat again and again to so it accumulate. So this is like a things come without effort, like you're doing ngondro without effort every Sunday. It's really good to helpful for practice, and especially like texts like this need lots of great merit to understand to that to nature. Understand to nature. In here, they are mentioned the four causes to can understand the true nature of our mind. It said inspired the Dharma 1, wisdom 2, meditation 3, and great compassion. Those 4 can cause to realize your nature of mind. And ornament of the Mahayana Sutra, they are said 3 causes to realize the emptiness. Same person who taught this ornament of Mahayana is the same taught by Maitreya, and there is said 3 causes are first one is please the Buddha. So we know how to we please the Buddha. Best way to please the Buddha is if you have a great compassion toward the sentient being. That is the best way. So that way it's called dignified the Buddha. 1. Second is accumulate the merit. And the third one is meditate on the meditate on the non-conceptual thought. So those 3 are I think basically comes similar, and then normally like Mahamudra and those teaching basically said it's necessary have to have 2 causes: great compassion and meditation on the emptiness to realize the emptiness. So that way I think pretty much everything is a talk a little bit different way. It's mainly come point is come to the everyone is the same way to try to understand the true nature of a mind. So that is the most important, because if we don't understand the true nature of a mind, even you have a great knowledge on the everything, everything, but it's becoming useless. If you understand the true nature of a mind, then even you don't know nothing, you know everything. So because everything is created by the mind, everything is come from that mind. So that reason, realization of the true nature of a mind is really important. And in this text, generally there is a 10 different 10 subjects to how to realize the nature of a mind. First one is called essential character, or sometimes called the essence. Second one is a cause, third is a result, and fourth is a function or action, and fifth is endowment or a possession, and six is a approach, and seven is a passes or different, and passes of all provinces, and eight is a I missed something. Endowment, approach. Okay, approach. Then various passes and all pervasive. Various passes is 7. All pervasive is 8, and unchanging is a 9. And inseparability, its quality is the 10. So we talked last week. We talked about the essence and the cause, two of them. So cause is also come here again. So in the result here said, in brief, the result of the 36, verse 36. In brief, the result of this constitute the respect remedy to both four way of staying from Dharmakaya. There are 4 antidotes. So here, so this is showing us how we can achieve the result. You will have the result of true nature or true nature of a mind or Dharmakaya by freeing your mind from those 4 ways to stay from the Dharmakaya. What make us straying from the Dharmakaya is what called the thought of impure, thought of selflessness, thought of suffering, and then what is thought of permanent. Sorry. So those 4. So now this is a little bit complicated. Why you say it's a thought of the impurity is obstacle to the Dharmakaya? I think generally in the Hinayana path said samsara is impure. There have no self. Everything is impermanent, and samsara is full of suffering. So that is the mainly you have to recognize. That is a Hinayana path. But here is different. Here you have to stay away from those 4 thoughts in the Dharmakaya by using 4 antidote. So 4 antidote we talked last week is inspire the Dharma, wisdom, meditation, and compassion. Inspire the Dharma is becoming antidote of inspire the Dharma is becoming antidote of the impurity, thought of impurity. thought of impurity is why it's need antidote for the thought of impurity is impurity is good to antidote of the freeing from the mind from the samsara, but it is also not the true. The nature is impure. Make sense? So when you free mind from the conceptual thought, you need to understand of the our aggregate 5 aggregate are impure. But when you look in the nature, if you think 5 aggregate are impure, then you have a distance. Then you're not going to see the nature. Make sense?
Can you elaborate?
Okay, when you are looking 5 aggregate itself, then you have to recognize as it is impure. Make sense? But when you look in nature of 5 aggregate, that is not impure. So here is talking about what is the obstacle to the seeing that nature of the aggregate. If you think 5 aggregate are impure, then you're not going to reach to the nature. So that way, those 4 thoughts, impurity, selflessness, impermanent, and suffering, those are become an obstacle to see the nature. So that way, they're saying it's a 4 way to straying, 4 way to straying from the Dharmakaya is those 4 thoughts.
How would impermanence be an obstacle?
If Dharmakaya is impermanent, then sooner or later you will lose that. If nature is impermanent, that is not true nature. Make sense? So that then you can understand. Otherwise, you may think, how come normally always in the Dharma teach, meditate on the impure, meditate on the selflessness, meditate on the impermanent, meditate try to understand the faults of samsara. But here saying those 4 are obstacle to the seeing the Dharmakaya, seeing the true nature. So now you can see. Those are good if your mind freeing from the worldly, from the samsara. But it is not good to seeing that true nature.
Be fixated upon it.
Yes. So it's come one by one. So for antidote, okay, here said 4 way to straying, yeah? Yeah, you have that. You have
Straying?
yeah, straying from Dharmakaya. Yeah, it's there are 4 antidote. What is the 4 antidote? First antidote of the impure. Is it impure? Is the samsara. It's a great desire being stuck in the samsara because of their desire. Make sense? So, inspired to the Dharma is becoming antidote of that desire, great desire. So, when you have that great desire, antidote of the antidote of the great desire, and by Bodhisattva's practice, and you have realization, result of freeing from that great desire is become liberation. That is the pure. So that way, I think this is we're not saying it's a word is the same. Okay, this is a word is the same. Worldly beings sometimes said, "Oh, this is a pure." And we enjoy with that. And the enlightened practitioner said, "Oh, worldly pure thought, pure is not pure; it's impure." But nirvana is pure. So I think projecting totally different places. So that way I think a little bit bring it complicate. Then second one is said, Tirtik, sudden religion practitioner believe there is called Atma, self. pure, single, identified. That is identity. But Buddhism said that is not true. Five aggregate have no self. So free from that by wisdom. Antidote. Second antidote is the wisdom and realization of or transcendent of self. Selflessness is a self identity. That is a transcendent. Third one is a here thing. Samsara is a unpleasant suffering. But here Bodhisattva path, they have called the samadhi, especially samadhi called the treasure-like space. By this samadhi and freeing mind from that unpleasant circumstance, so that we call the pleasure. And solitary realization, they not concentrate on the thought of others' benefit. And by releasing or liberating from that by great compassion. So that is the fourth one. 藏我打打吧 okay, enjoy by great not joy. Pure identity, joy, permanence. So that is the permanent realization, permanent. So that is the briefly, but its detail is come. 37 said, first, this is a purity because its nature is pure, and all the impurity of karma have been removed. So, so that now why is it called this is pure? Because it's nature, and nature is always pure. And what is impurity is a negative karma and afflicted emotion. So when negative karma and afflicted emotion are free, is what called remove, and it become pure. So that way I said earlier, what we said pure is, and in here saying pure is different.
So we are using contemplation of the four thoughts to give rise to this great compassion. And when we get to this great compassion, we have to recognize the impurity of the four thoughts.
No, I mean, I think first is you see, generally, worldly perspective, okay, samsaric perspective, yeah, we have a conceptual thought about this is pure.
Yes.
This is permanent.
Yeah.
This is a joy.
Uh-huh.
And I have an identity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in the Buddhism earlier path, it called the Hinayana path. Mm-hmm. In the Hinayana teaching said that is not true. Samsara is impure. And you have no self-identity, selflessness. And there are no joy in the aggregate. In the worldly, everything is a suffering, called the suffering of change. Even you think as a joy. And there are no permanent, everything is impermanent. Okay, that way you are liberated from the ordinary conceptual of worldly conception. Make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Now here saying is once you are free from that, now here what saying is essence of those
Is
actually pure,
Okay.
permanent, joy and identity. So that is the first essence of the phenomena are why I call pure, because nature is always pure. Make sense? So those two are word is used in same, but projecting different way. Make sense? Now thinking impure is not good for the reaching to the ultimate.
Yeah.
Freeing from the what called relative or freeing from the conventional, you need to understand the impure. Make sense? But reaching to the ultimate, if you keep thought of impurity, you not reach to the ultimate. So Dharmakaya is actually ultimate. So basically said it's transcended. It come word is transcended. It's come later. Transcended mean actually it's beyond the pure and impure now. First is recognize the pure. I'm pure, then realize the impure. Now, in this case, beyond that is becoming pure. When you reach to the ultimate is beyond the pure and impure.
So it's saying that when you get that far, then making those distinctions kind of is irrelevant.
Gone beyond that distinctions. So that is called the pure. Because the nature is pure.
So we have no word for it.
Basically, we have no word. But so that way I just said pure.
So we're going a step beyond what we learned in the ornament of Mahayana Sutra.
Yes.
You're now looking at.
Yes. So that is talking about your nature. Your nature is pure. Yeah. Because it is naturally pure. Free from, here said, purity of karma have been removed. Purity of karma means the afflicted emotion and a negative karma. Remove all the what called imputation. So that way it's becoming pure. Yes?
Is it also sort of an antidote to, because a lot of those things that you mentioned earlier from the Hinayana perspective can possibly lead, if you're not careful, on a slippery slope towards nihilism, in my opinion. I mean, I've always noticed that a lot of the earlier, from what we categorize as the Hinayana, leads on a very slippery slope towards nihilism.
Yes, especially like we said, no self. That's easy to can reach to the nihilism. But from I think this is problem is why Buddha talk first is impure, then pure is if beginning to the Buddha said, oh, everything is pure. Then we become lazy actually. We think, oh, I mean, lots of people still now said, oh, everything is empty. Samsara and nirvana are no different. You know, I have a Buddha nature.
So I can drink it. Wow.
Yeah, so it seems like they don't have to worry about. Everything is fun. Actually, everything is not fun. You know, so that reason Buddha is really skillful. This is called the skillful. I use the skillful art because this is really skillful. How to liberate. First, have to liberate from the what is a gross obstacles. But once you liberate from the gross obstacles, then have to liberate from the subtle obstacle too. You know, like soap. We use the soap for wash the dish. Soap. You have to wash the soap too. If you keep the soap on the dish is dirty still. Even your dirt is gone. So meditation on the impurity is the soap to washing the pure concept. Make sense? But now meditating on the pure of the nature is water that even washed the soap. Make sense? So because ultimately you have to wash the soap. If you keep the soap, Soap. Okay.
Soup.
If you keep the soap,
There is salt soap. There is salt soap.
then you not complete your job. Make sense? So the same way Buddha give really skillfully guiding to us. So now this kind of thought is talking about the advanced one. But if our practice is from the beginning and try to act like an advance, this is like a 7-year child try to pick up that stone that adult can pick up. Make sense? Try to do adult's job. It damage that 7-year child. Make sense? Same thing is when we actually practicing, we have to be honest our own state where we are. Even there is a Dharmakaya is too naturally pure, but our reality is if we're not ready there, then just meditate on the impurity. Make sense? So I think we have to learn how to separate. Once you are completely free from that conceptual, then you have to see that nature. So when you reach that nature, and that nature is pure. So I actually here really clearly said that purity, because its nature is true, and all impurity of karma have been removed. If you are free from the karma, then you are pure. Then you can meditate purity. Make sense? So until you are free from the karma, you have to work hard to think about the impurity, to free your mind from the great desire, great attachment. When you free your mind from the great attachment, then you will see the pure. Then second one said, it is true identity, because all of the complication of self and or no self have been absolutely quelled. Did I say correct? Quelled. So, true identity. Now we said this. Normally, what we say in our identity is a aggregate, polluted, defiled. That one is saying I am. Yeah? That is not true identity. It's just like you got glass of water, really dirty water, say this is the water. That is not water. That is not true water. That way we said dirty water or muddy water or some, always there's with a word attached with that. Yeah? So really true identity is the nature, unfabricated one. In the Mahamudra teaching said what ordinary mind. In this concept of ordinary mind mean unfabricated one. Our mind, right now mind is fabricated, polluted. Yeah. So phenomenon's true identity is an unfabricated one. That's the true identity. So if you want to reach that one, you have to free your mind from the concept of there is a self or there is a selfless. Until you free from those two concepts, cannot reach to the true identity of a phenomena. Make sense? I mean, true identity of self. So then you can say, we can say the divine pride. I am the deity. Those all connected. Mm-hmm. We normally said, I am the deity. What kind of I is the deity? That I here said true identity. That true identity is the inseparable of the deity, because that true identity is the inseparable of the Dharmakaya, and deity are Dharmakaya. Ordinary our identity is that worldly concept polluted, fabricated thought about I is we said, our identity, yeah? Self, or whatever we use. But here, free mind from that. So that reason saying complication of self and no self have been absolutely quiet or removed beyond that or transcended from the self and no self. That is the ID, called identity or self. It's called the Tamba means the supreme identity. Supreme identity. Make sense? Yeah. So then you see why it's called the Dharmakaya is a self, have quality of self. Those four are the quality of the Dharmakaya. Okay, so we talk about the pure and self. Then 38. It is a happiness through the demise of the five aggregate which are of mentally nature and their cause. Happiness. Long as we have aggregate, we are suffering. Five aggregate, so Lord Jidisuma said in the Gungjik, cyclic of samsara mean the aggregate continuing, five aggregate, with a habitual tendency. So he said, there are many different traditions mention about what is samsara mean. But he said his understand of the some cyclic of existence mean continuing of the five aggregate. Long as we are continue of the five aggregate, we have that all the unpleasant circumstance of the samsara. Make sense? That is called the suffering. Suffering of change, all pervasive suffering. Especially all pervasive suffering mean that is suffering. What is the all pervasive suffering? It's the aggregates. I think, for example, long as you have attached to something, it always give you suffering. It always give you worry. You know, for example, you have a car. Every day it give you headache. Every day it give you problem. Yes. When you sold it, your problem is solved. When you sell it, your problem is gone. Of course, there's another problem comes. Make sense? The problem directly caused from that car is no longer with you, because that car is no longer belong to you. Of course, then you buy a new car, you have a new problem. So that is the same as aggregate, how give us a suffering. You know, long as we are attached to this aggregate, but then sometimes also we have this problem is that people think, oh, five aggregate is the most problem. You know, I'm in the samsara because this aggregate. Then we may abuse our own aggregate. That is also not good.
What do you mean abuse our aggregate?
Like Buddha's time, large monk killed himself because they said, oh, this long as I have this body, I'm suffering. If I kill myself, I can liberate. So people think, oh, then kill themselves is liberate from that suffering. That's not true. You can kill the gross body, but you cannot kill the subtle body. We just follow with you.
You just sold your car. And
Yeah, yes. So I think until, like this, the same as until you become that no longer need the car, you have to take care of the car, even that is giving you a headache. Make sense? One day when you become no longer, you no need the car, then you have no worry about that car. Same thing is until we become no longer need this body, we have to take care of the body. Even we know this is troublemaker. Make sense? So same thing as Shantideva said. Our worst enemy is our own body. But we have to take care of this body. Without this body, we cannot achieve the liberation. So that way, he has said happiness through the demise of five aggregate. Demise means
end of it.
end or free from the five aggregate, and which are the mentally nature. Mentally nature means, which is, mind created, especially a subtle body. Yeah, easy to, as I said, easy to free from the gross body, but not easy to free from the subtle body, mental body.
And by the mental body,
There's a subtle one, subtle aggregate. After the hour we died, we leave this gross body, but subtle is to go with the consciousness continually. If that subtle is even the formless realm, they have that one, the subtle body. So have to free from that. And how to free from that is their cause. What is the main cause to that subtle body continue is the afflictive emotion. Ignorance, attachment, and aversion. Because of the ignorance, we have attachment. Because of the attachment, we have aversion. That keep continually the subtle body. So when you're completely free from that, that is called the happiness. And Dharmakaya is completely free from that. That way they are called the supreme happiness. It is a permanence since the samsaric or since the sameness of samsara and nirvana have been realized. So this one is a quote also in the ornament of the Mahayana Sutra. There is a quote. Said, there are no increase and no decrease. Nature, when you are freeing your mind from the samsaric conceptual, but your nature is not decreasing. When you realize in the nirvana, the nature is not increasing. And nature is always the same. Just pollution is freeing from the pollution. Impute. They divided into, all phenomena are divided into three. Impute, dependent, and ultimate. When we are confused, our mind impute on the dependent. Like whatever we see are the dependent phenomena, like table, flower, and picture. Everything is dependent, include our body. That's called dependent. But then on that dependent we impute. Oh, this is good, this is bad. Yeah, that's called the impute. We label. Can say label. Yeah, we label on that. That is impute. But when you are free your mind from that impute, then you will see the nature. So that way you don't need to remove that phenomena. So that nature is not increase nor decrease, not change anything. When your concept is impute on the particular object, that object is not become impute. If that object is become impute, everyone have to see impute.
Impure?
Imputation.
Imputation.
Okay.
Everyone have to project as impute. Imputed?
Imputation.
Yeah, imputed. No, I may see this is really good, impute, but you may see this is really bad, impute.
So everybody has to see.
Yeah, so because it's impute or imputation is not exist on the object or defending. So that way, that nature is not change anything. When we are in the samsara, our nature is not becoming bad. When we are in nirvana, our nature is not becoming good. It's always a nature. That nature is never changed. That we call the permanence. When water is a poison, mixed with a poison, it's become a poison. Yeah? But the water itself is not changed. When water is mixed with a medicine, it's become a medicine. But the water itself is not changed. The condition is changed, but it's the water itself is not. Same thing is our mind is with impute, we become a samsaric. When our mind is free from the impute, we become a nirvana. But mind, nature itself is not changed. That is permanence. So I think this is a reason is if our nature of mind is not permanence, then Dharmakaya cannot be permanence. Because that's the reality. Anything is produced have to be dissolved. Anything is built have to be destroyed. You know, so that reason Dharmakaya, what is the main, which is what we have to realize the becoming Buddhahood, that is a permanence. I think in the Mahamudra teaching basically said ground Mahamudra, path Mahamudra, and resulted Mahamudra. In the Dzogchen also same use, Hilam Desu. You know. In the Dzogchen tradition, I think said one ground, two path, one result. In the Mahamudra, we said ground Mahamudra and path Mahamudra and result Mahamudra. Groundly talking about the nature of mind, that itself. Nature of mind is described basically we said purity and clarity. And purity and clarity is used as a path to what called them, to accumulation. Accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. And from those two accumulation, you achieve the two, wisdom and kaya. Make sense? So that is to accumulation is a path Mahamudra. Like Lurjita Sumgun's tradition called the five-fold path of the Mahamudra. You know, Bodhicitta, deity, Guru Yoga, and Mahamudra itself, and the dedication. Then achieve the final nirvana, which is the achieve the Dharmakaya. That is the, so that way it's always a permanence. The nature is permanent. So that way said, reaching to that nature. What is the four obstacle? Is a thinking, impure, selflessness, suffering, and impermanence. Those are becoming obstacle to reach to the reach to the state of the Dharmakaya. So if we want to achieve the Dharmakaya, we have to free your mind from those four by using four antidote. Yeah? Now free your mind, freeing from the two extreme. 39. Those of compassion, love have through Pargyan completely serve all self-cherishing, severed all self-cherishing. They will not want to be enter the personal nirvana because they dearly care for every being. Hence, by reliance upon this mean to enlightenment. So, wisdom and compassion that deeply realize abide neither in samsara nor consist of personal nirvana. So, that is how to you reach to the completely free from two extreme. Extreme, yeah, two extreme, two, yeah. So, samsara is one extreme, nirvana is another. So, those four quality of the Dharmakaya is beyond those two, beyond those two extreme, can say? Yeah, extreme of pure and impure, transcended from the pure and impure, that is called the supreme pure. Transcended from the self and the selflessness, that is called the supreme identity. And transcended from the suffering and joy, that is called the supreme joy or happiness. And transcended from the permanent and impermanent, that is called the supreme impermanence or permanence. Yeah. So when you have those, then called the free from two extreme. So here, what bring us to free from two extreme is by these two, compassion and prajnan or wisdom. So when we have compassion, first said, because of the wisdom, we are free from the samsara. We achieve the nirvana. But because of the compassion, we not rest in nirvana, continually perform benefit of sentient being in the samsara. Also, I think this way, normally we are lack of wisdom. That way we are stuck in the samsara. Make sense? We not understand. We don't have enough understand of the phenomena. That way we are experiencing the suffering. It's called the suffering come from the delusion or confusion or mistake. I mean, that's obviously we see every day. We experience lots of different kind of suffering because we make mistake. That is called the samsara. But then when you have a wisdom of seeing as a two nature of identity, two identity of samsara, then you realize what is right, what is wrong. That way you no longer make mistake. When you no longer make mistake, you are free from suffering. That's called the nirvana. So personally, that is good enough to. As long as you are free from samsara, that's good enough. No long as you have no suffering, you don't need anything anymore for the personally. Make sense? So liberating nirvana by wisdom itself is good enough for you. But when after you liberate yourself from the suffering, then you have to perform to help other beings, because you cannot relax from that state of nirvana when you see everyone is suffering. Then you have to engage to the action to help those beings who are miserable, who are suffering. So when you try to help them, but your ability is not good enough, because you have not enough quality. because of that compassion, and you put more effort to improve your ability. So your ability have to improvement come complete when you achieve the Dharmakaya or Buddhahood. Make sense? So what you bring you to from the nirvana to Buddhahood is by compassion, not by wisdom. Not only by wisdom, it's bring by compassion, because compassion make you more improvement. Like if you go to school, college, you get degree. Yeah? Then you decide to want to become a teacher. Then you have to go to class. You have to take you have to take class lesson again, and you have to prepare yourself every day. You can say, "Oh, I have college degree. Now I can talk whatever I want," because your ability is limited. So same thing is a Bodhisattva, why they push more effort, put more effort after their nirvana is because of the compassion. So that way, because of the compassion, they not rest in the extreme of nirvana. When they have those two, and they reach to until to the complete Buddhahood, that is called the beyond the two extreme. Yeah?
So,
Khenpo, is that like the obscuration of liberation?
Obscuration of liberation is generally, conceptual thought of dualistic. But this one is I think mainly is talking about what really make you become a Buddhahood. What really push you to reach to the Buddhahood. Of course, then for that you have to free from the obscuration of liberation, omniscience. I think why this come here is because we talk about those four quality of the Dharmakaya. Then those four quality called the transcendent. What does a transcendent mean? Transcendent mean the mind free from two extreme. That is a transcendent. How to free from the two extreme is by compassion, great compassion and wisdom. And
don't go fast.
yes.
Let's pause there for a minute. We've historically here, you have always, especially with JOL and also in the ornament of Mahayana Sutra, took a lot of time differentiating between great compassion,
Yes.
the mind of enlightenment,
Yeah.
and compassionate
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
Dharmakaya is that great compassion, right? The mind of enlightenment, the platform, the expression of that mind of enlightenment.
And that the compassion, there's three kind of compassion. Compassion from the sentient being, compassion from the phenomena, and compassion from the ultimate. So when you have realization of that ultimate, you can say that is the Dharmakaya. But here is talking about the compassion. Great compassion means you have a compassion to equal to everyone. There's two kind of compassions.
Yes, so here we are not talking about that big one.
We are talking about that big one. We are talking about that big one.
That big one, we are taking it and dividing it?
No. Here is saying what I'm saying is where I use the great compassion is generally everyone have certain compassion. No matter how bad you are, still you have compassion. Some have really small compassion, some have larger compassion. I think generally everyone have some kind of compassion. Every being have some kind of compassion.
Yeah.
But we have a hard time to compassion to equally to everyone.
Yeah.
Because we can have compassion to our dear one easily, but we have a hard time to being compassion to our enemy. We have a really easy to have compassion to suffering one. But we have a really hard time to compassion on enjoy one. We have really easy to be compassion to someone is lesser than you. But we have a hard time to being compassion to someone is higher than you.
Correct. Equanimity.
That is because we don't have a great compassion.
Correct.
Yes.
All right.
So now great compassion mean with equanimity.
Yes.
Make sense?
So that with equanimity will make it the great compassion.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask an unrelated question. When we are practicing deity yoga and we are having the references to the union of compassion and wisdom, we're looking at the union of the great compassion, the compassion with equanimity and wisdom that are coming together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because in the Buddhism we said generally there are no one who have no compassion. Everyone has certain compassion. Because the reason is that why everyone has certain compassion, because we share the Buddha nature. Long as you have a Buddha nature, you must have compassion. But we are lacking compassion with equally.
Okay.
Everyone. That way our compassion is polluted. Make sense? Our compassion is corrupted. So here is it also, if you have only certain compassion, then you can reach to the extreme nirvana, because you help those who have compassion. Once you done that one, then you can rest nirvana. But if you have great compassion, then your helping is not end.
So that great compassion itself is wisdom.
Of course, yes. It's not separately completely from the wisdom. Yeah.
All right.
So that idea of great compassion and equanimity, does it extend to all sentient beings as well?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Which I have a question. When you're confronted with your limitations, and you have all this stuff, and you're really confronted with your limitations in that respect. I mean.
Yeah, I know.
I read something in the newspaper yesterday which totally brought me to the point where I just was totally realizing that I'm so limited. And it was this article. It was this news flash. Many of you might have saw it if you're on Yahoo. This guy went ahead and killed this little baby by crushing it because the mother and her girlfriend wanted to go shopping, and he thought that they were using him. So he stepped on this baby and crushed it, and didn't say he felt good doing it. And when I read that, I felt like I wish nothing but the most horrible things to happen to this guy.
So,
the most horrible, if the most horrible thing happened to this guy, I would feel joy.
So then you are become the same like him.
Yeah, well.
You're second him. You become a second him. Yeah. So Buddha said actually in the Shantidevas, and said, Buddha see as an afflicted emotion as an enemy, not the person who have afflicted emotion.
Yeah.
Make sense? I think we have to see that separation. Then you can compassion. Especially they need compassion. Compassion doesn't mean support what they're doing. So that way we call tough love. Sometimes you have to show the scare way, but you never lose the compassion. You never lose the love. Make sense? I got many times that tough love on me. From my mom, from my uncle, lots of from older people. So sometimes need that to become a right path. So that way, if you just support what they're doing, still say, "Oh, you are so good and kind," that is not really compassion. This is a Chogyam Trungpa said, idiot compassion, It's idiotic. Really, that is really idiotic. If you support somebody's doing bad action, bad attitude, and you kind of like saying it's still compassion. Make sense? So you have to learn. I mean, it's not that easy, but we have to learn how to separate those two. So that reason Shantideva said, Buddha saw what called the afflicted emotion as enemies, but not the person who have afflicted emotion. Yes?
Question. Is relative bodhicitta the same as great compassion? And is ultimate bodhicitta the same as realizing Dharmakaya?
Yes. Gyan. Here said Gyan. Here said Gyan. Yeah? Prajnan. Prajnana. What you have two translation. The first one is the same as the one I'm reading. It said Prajnana. Yeah? Gyan is, I think mostly we use as Gyan. What is your second translation said? Compassion and wisdom? 39.
Their analytical wisdom has cut all self-cherishing without exception, and then cherishing begins with those possessed of compassion and do not adhere to peace.
Okay, so they use wisdom. Here it keeps Sanskrit words jnana, prajnan, you know. Prajnan means like a transcendent wisdom, really highest wisdom. So that is talking about the compassionate love have though prajnan completely severed all self-cherishings. They will not want to be interpersonal nirvana. So this is not saying they don't want to achieve nirvana. Of course, Bodhisattva really happily achieve nirvana. But they achieve nirvana is not personal. Make sense? They achieve nirvana but not personal reason. They achieve nirvana for benefit of every being. So that's here not saying they not want interpersonal nirvana. They're not saying they don't want inter nirvana. Those two different. Make sense? I mean, without enter the nirvana, ultimately you cannot help other being from the suffering, liberated from the suffering. So here they enter the nirvana, but not for personal reason. Personal reason, can say? Personal reason, not individual liberation. They enter the nirvana, so that way they can help everyone. So because they dearly care for every beings, hence be reliance upon this meant to be enlightenment. Wisdom and compassion deeply realize, abide, neither is in samsara nor a conscience of a personal nirvana. So that's these two. I think especially those quotes that right now we just use 2 or 3. Those are really important for especially Vajrayana practitioner. These are really directly related to the how to practice the Vajrayana. First is to talk about the nature mind, Dharmakaya. If you don't understand that nature, it's a hard time to practice the daily yoga. If you don't understand that nature, you have a hard time to practice the completion. Make sense? Mm-hmm. And if you don't have these two method to how to liberate from the extreme, it's difficult to become Buddhahood, and there are always obstacles. You know?
Talking about compassion with equanimity, I feel like a lot of times we confuse compassion with support. Like, I'll support you in doing that. So when we're looking for equanimity and compassion, what does compassion look like if we don't support the person? Like, what would compassion for that man who killed that baby, what would that look like? Without saying, that's great that you did that.
Putting in the jail is supporting him.
What is the Tibetan word for compassion and how does it actually translate?
Tibetan
Because
also
we've come up with this English word, and I don't think it's a direct translation of the Tibetan word.
Tibetan is a nyingje. Nyingje means nyine jewa. Nyine kind of from the heart to have a kind of like
Compassion, just
Yeah,
so you
yes.
would know, it comes from the Latin root. Cum means with, passion means suffering. So when you put the two together, is with suffering. It's actually free of action.
Okay.
It is an awareness of the suffering.
That is it. Yes, that is it. In the Sanskrit word is called the karuna. I think it's the same as that one.
Okay.
Yeah, karuna means the actually suffering.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think pretty much same.
Back to her question now. What does that compassion look like for that man? Is it that you're recognizing his suffering, his struggle, his...
Compassion to him as a like a, I think this way. When mentally ill one hitting himself or herself, what do you think?
Poor
Nuts.
soul.
Yes, that kind of compassion.
Oh,
You know, I mean, generally we're all mentally ill, okay? Okay, we're not that healthy mentally, but especially particular beings, they have a extreme problem. You know,
But
that way they believe certain things that is not good, but still they believe. So that reason, I think this is, you can examine it yourself. When you're showing, you know, when you shout, yeah, shout?
Yelling?
Yeah, when you yell someone, at that time, what are you feeling inside? You are enjoying it or you are suffering? Yeah, so that way I think we can say, because I mean, the person who did is a really idiot, really suffering. And I'm not saying he's suffering for supporting him or anything, but he have to put them behind the, you know, door. But what help him is so he not continue do that one.
But should we...
That is compassion.
Should we not think or wonder what caused, like what brought him to a point like that, to be like that? Should we not think that way or just...
You should, of course, we have to think on
should try to
that.
understand
Yes,
that
yes,
something brought him to that point?
yes.
in his
We have to
suffering?
understand on that. Then that way.
It's okay then to wonder
Yeah, I
about
mean,
that.
there are lots of people, you know, when they go to what called the alcohol and drug problem, what called that?
Others.
Rehabtion. They put like jail. Yeah.
When, you said earlier that, you know, Buddha said hate the affliction and not the afflicted or whatever. But the thing about it is...
Not hate. Buddha said, see, afflict the emotion as an enemy, but not the person.
Afflicted emotion is as the enemy.
Because if you hate the afflicted emotion, then you know, bringing that afflicted is to you.
Okay.
Then it's not become an antidote.
So see the afflicted emotion as the enemy and not the afflicted. The afflictive emotion is not personal. It doesn't have it's abstract. It doesn't have, but the person who perpetrates it, is not abstract. That is an actual person that made the decision to go there, to go there. They made the decision. They took the action to do it. And yet, but the afflictive emotion is totally benign. I mean, not benign, but totally abstract. It doesn't have. It's not. it doesn't, what's the word I'm looking for?
Doesn't have shape.
It doesn't have shape, doesn't have form, doesn't have a location or anything, but that person does.
Only temporarily. You know, then you're giving that person like permanence. Because they're abstract too.
But
An afflictive emotion can't be abstract. If you experience it, that's an afflict. I mean, you.
But it's the person that
You experience it. It's the same as a sight or a feeling. If you feel it, they felt it at the time.
But it
you
doesn't
go,
have an entity though.
But it does. The
so,
moment
yeah.
that you read that article, you gave rise to the afflictive emotion of hate and
But
disgust
that's me.
and
That's
all
me.
of
It's
that.
coming from me.
So Khenpo says, learn to dislike the emotion
And not
instead of yourself. And then from there, dislike the emotion in the other person.
He was very upset. I mean, clearly he had some feeling that they were upset.
And I think we keep coming back to the same point.
I've been doing this, this June will be 20 years since I first took refuge and I'm still struggling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, of course. You cannot be discouraged. Buddha took 1 eon to free from afflictive emotion. 1 great eon, not just 1 eon. Free from afflictive emotion. And they say Shakyamuni Buddha is the one of the quickest path. In 3 eons he achieved the nirvana, complete Buddhahood. Maitreya took 30 some eons.
How many years is in an eon?
As I said, like
2 million
Millions of
More than 20.
It's actually, this is
more than 30, yeah.
something about the lifetime of 500 universes.
Yeah.
Isn't it like something like 500
Yes.
universes and then
Yeah.
universes have all these, it's just crazy.
No. Eon, so how do you count eons? I can tell you briefly. Every 200 years, 1 year decrease. That is from the 500 to 80,000 to becoming 10 years old. Lifespan. How long take? Every 200 years, 1 year decrease. 80,000 to 10 years old. Then from there to increase every 200 years, 1 year increase, 10 years old to 10-year-old lifespan to become until 80,000. That is one hook. That kind of 20 is called the intermediate kalpa. Okay, that intermediate kalpa is the 4 time is called the 1 great kalpa. 1 great kalpa is a 60, 1,000. 1 great kalpa, 1,000 is called the, or one complete kalpa, 1,000 is called the 1 great kalpa or eon. So how many years?
Oh, so eon here means Mahakalpa.
Yes,
Ah,
yes, same. But
Okay.
so that is how. But some can, sudden practice can, they're saying 1 samadhi can cross 1 eon. Like Avalokiteshvara, when he received from that, I think the Shinshiba Dham sound or someone, that great compassion mantra, he recited the great compassion mantra and he achieved first bhumi to 8 bhumi. 1 eon, kind of almost eon, like, can say? Short, make, yeah. So that is it. Not like counted as exactly what we think, because Miller Rebbe took only 1 lifetime. So this is not just talking about the only the quality, can say quantity. Yeah, I think quality is talking about. But that he asking what is the eon, how many years? So that is how many years in the eon.
if it's beginningless, time is almost like irrelevant.
Yeah.
We just experience it through aggregates, so I mean, what do we know about it anyway? Time.
So now, function. Where were no Buddha essence, there would be no discontent with the suffering, no desire, effort, and aspiration for nirvana. So this is the reason. This is one reason said why sentient beings have a Buddha nature. This is the reason because we have a Buddha nature. That way we have this feeling. Can I say this feeling? Yeah. Says if there is no Buddha essence, we're not going to have a what called dissatisfaction from the suffering. We have a feeling of a dissatisfaction. Can I say dissatisfaction? Yeah, dissatisfaction when we experience the suffering because we have a Buddha nature. I think that is also can see this way. When you in your mind, when you are raising conceptual thought of angry or attachment or any of those afflicting emotion, you are not comfortable. Yeah? When you have a thought of a positive, you are really relaxed. So, because your nature is a positive, that way when come to the close to the nature, you are really relaxed. But when your nature is erupted by negative, then you are not comfortable. Like whether two come together hot in cold, that is the most is a problem causing. You know, like a tornado, what called the tsunami, or the lightning, or the thunder. All those are caused by the heat and cold come together, because they are not relatively. They are not what called them. Friendly, can say compatible. So that is the same as with our mind. If our mind has no Buddha nature, then naturally not pure. When naturally not pure, we're really comfortable when arising afflicting emotion like anger, hatred, jealousy. Make sense? We're not comfortable because it's not part of the nature. Part of nature is pure. That way, whenever we have good thought, we are relaxed, we are peace, we are joy, can say. But whenever we have a negative thought, it makes us uncomfortable.
Could you say that Buddha nature is experienced in our being as instinctive?
What is instinctive?
It's like
Something that comes naturally.
When you put your hand on a stove and it's hot and you pull it away, that's instinct.
Yeah, and they talk about like animals that is
Like automatic
certain
action.
they
Instead
do.
of thinking about it, you don't think, oh, this is hot, I should take my hand off. You just put your hand and go, ah.
But meaning
Reflexive.
it's
Inborn.
completely natural to us.
Yeah, I think so.
Inborn.
Yes. Yes. So that is here saying actually, this thought where you have, discontent with the suffering and effort to achieve nirvana. Everyone have that. Every day we have this thought. When you wake up, nobody wish today I'm going to be miserable. Nobody think that way. It doesn't matter you're practicing Dharma or not. We always think today I want to be good day. And we put lots of effort to become a better life. Make sense? So that is naturally everyone, include animals. They leave morning early from their nest and try to find something. Everyone is looking equally happiness. One of Tibetan scholar, he composed, he said, insect, no lake, rush every morning seeking happiness. And even have no eyes, rush every morning seeking happiness. So that way every morning, everyone come out quick as they can come out. Try to leave early and try to seek something. Everyone looking happiness. Nobody is happy with the suffering. That instant, can say that instant or whatever that inspire. Yeah, inspiration is come from the Buddha nature. Because we have a Buddha nature, we have that that instinct, equal to naturally that everyone, you know. So in the morning when you try to cut someone, think about that, you know, they are hurry too. Cut off, or what? Cut off. Think about they are hurry too. So this is one of the what call them can say improvement, or we normally said why we call everyone have a Buddha nature, because of this kind of thought. You know, yes, this is the evidence that everyone not happy with the suffering, and everyone equally looking joy or peace. Here used as a nirvana, it's the same as a joy or peace. You know, so I think this is a good quote to you should keep. Then somebody asks you, why you think there is a Buddha nature? Then said, oh, Maitreya mentioned this one.
And that quote was again?
Can,
40. Were there no Buddha nature, there would be no discontent with suffering, nor desire, effort, and aspiration for nirvana.
Awareness of the samsara's shortcoming, suffering, and the nirvana's quality happiness are due to the extent of this potential. Why is this so? Without such potential, they would not be present.
So in other words, if we didn't want to be free from suffering, then if we didn't have Buddha nature, then we wouldn't want to be free.
Yeah, we're not seeking that one. I think that is makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying they don't seek, but I don't think so. Like most of living things have that potential. You know, like tree is living. I mean, earth is living. You know, they're alive. But I don't think so. They have that potential.
Yeah, like rocks don't
Yeah.
sit there and go, oh man.
Yeah, they don't search anything, just sit there. So that way, awareness of samsara's shortcoming. So, and nirvana's quality happiness are due to the existence of this potential. Why this so? Without such potential, we would not be present. So without this potential, then we call the Nagarjuna said, great for will, for potential, or great for condition, or is a translates a great for will. As a staying place that is a suitable condition, yeah, for the Dharma practice. Rely on the holy being, spiritual master, and yourself have what called aspiration to practice the Dharma, and have a support of the previous karma, yeah, of the merit. Those called the four great will of a practitioner. If we don't have that potential, and through those four great will of the Dharma practice, and also entering on the Dharma, and those all is not going to happen, because we have that potential. This in here potential is talking about the Buddha nature. Name as a potential. Then endowment. It is like great ocean, an inexhaustible abode containing the precious substance of
Inestimable.
inestimable That one quality. It is like a lame flame because this essence is endowed with an inseparable quality. Quality of cause of Buddha nature is like an ocean. Ocean have a lots of jewels. In old time, merchant, they go to in the ocean to collect the jewels. Ocean is a content of many jewels. Also, ocean is a content of the water. Keep all water, and also all the river end up to the ocean. Meet to the ocean. Make sense? So that reason this is like ocean. That's called the quality of the result cause. So what is the Buddha? This is the example. As ocean is an example. And meaning is Buddha nature is contained to many good qualities, like inspire aspiration to the Dharma, wisdom, meditation, compassion. Those all contain. All they are contained is the Buddha nature. Can say Buddha nature is the content of all those what called causal quality of cause of Buddha nature. Can say, yeah, quality of cause is contained by Buddha nature, hold by Buddha nature. So that is like an ocean. Ocean have lots of jewel and hold lots of water. Same thing as a Buddha nature, or we call the elements come. Element is the content of all those quality. Of the four cause to and quality of the result is like a flame, and the flame, the lame have a light and heat and color, same like this enlightened omniscient, what called the can say not omniscient, what called Ngweshe. Ngweshe. Let's come later. Or not. Cognition, yeah, cognition and wisdom and all those like lamb. So that way, Buddha nature is like lamb, yeah, or Buddha nature is like ocean. Because it's contain the essence of the Dharmakaya and Gyan and of the Victoria and the great compassion, it has been taught as being similar to the ocean through the being of environment is gem is water. In environment, I think it's the same as a contain, yeah.
Container?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Then second says, since direct cognition, Gyan and free from stain are inseparable within the immaculated ground, they are compared to be light, heat, and color of a flame. So Buddha nature is also the causally, like a example is a cause of the Buddha nature is a cause is a example of the ocean, The result of the Buddha nature is an example of the lamp. Lamp have a light, heat, color. Same thing as the Buddha nature have is called cognition, gyan, and free from stain. Yeah, cognition is a clear cognition. Yeah, there's a 5 cognitions: divine eye, divine ear, what called cognition of knowing others' mind, cognition of knowing the past, and miracle power. Divine eye is mean that can see more distant than what normal eye can see. So that is divine. Also see more subtle things. I think that reason Buddha can see all those detailed things that scientists now can see through the what called the microscope. Buddha can see without a microscope those all subtle things. There's one quote in the Vinaya. We have to examine the water, make sure water is free from insect. But when you examine it, Buddha said, don't use as a arhat eyes. Because if you use arhat eyes, you see the subtle one. Subtle one, there are no water with insect. I think there are no water with a violet. Yeah, without violet. Bacteria. So Buddha said, don't use arhat eyes when you examine the water. So that is what is cognition eye mean, divine eye mean. They can see subtle than what we can. Yes?
Along that same line, I used to be a big fan of Thich Nhat Hanh, and I used to read Thich Nhat Hanh.
You should be still.
Well, let me say this. What sort of did it in for me is once there was a prayer that he has his people recite. And it goes from like all the beings and gods and human beings and animals and works its all the way down to insects, to the point where at the end it was vegetation and minerals. Now I have a hard enough time with the baby killer, much less praying for rocks. And so I thought at that particular point it was getting to the point of ridiculousness, and so with that in mind, what does, the text that we have in our tradition, what does it say about things like minerals and vegetation and things like that? I mean,
nature.
You can't tell me they have Buddha nature.
No, that is, I don't know why he said that one, because especially the Zen tradition, they specially quote that in Zen tradition is they're saying there's one, somebody wrote, said all appearance are mental projections, they said. But one wrote even the mental projection does not exist. So that way, I don't know why he said that one. Because in the Buddhism generally said, if you liberate your mind, you liberate everything. When you are not liberated, you are samsara. Everything is samsara. When you are liberated, everything is in nirvana. So I don't know why he said that one.
Well, actually, I'm familiar with that prayer a little bit, and I think the way the prayer is composed is that different people who are reciting it can connect to different parts of it. Yeah, he starts very big, and it goes to the insects and the birds, and lots of people can connect to the birds and the animals.
Yeah,
Some can connect. So it's just, I think he's making a tray of offerings for you to connect with.
I'm fine up into the point of the birds and the insects and the microcosm. It's like but the rocks is a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Broad scope for
It's too much for
until
me too.
enlightenment or until the end of this life or until tomorrow, I do give you options. Maybe I can't be passionate.
So
Well, but that one we don't have an
the
option.
second one is the divine ears. Divine ear is mean they can hear further sound. Also can understand all the other different languages what they talk. So that is the divine ears. Then knowing of the others' minds. I think this modern age it's becoming judgmental. You know, you are what called the what called the violating the privacy. But two is it they have the understand of the knowing of the other's mind. You know, I mean, certain point we have the knowing of the other mind based on their attitude. We know a little bit, but we don't have that good. But the enlightened one, they have that one. That is also wisdom. And knowing of the past, is it like they can see eons, many lifetimes where it came from past. I think that is also really helpful for Bodhisattva how to turn to the other beings because of that knowledge can give you different way to instruct. You know, and it's called the miracle powers. Last one.
I said, well, when I used to attend Gorch's teachers, right, he would answer my questions without me asking it. So the last couple of times I keep thinking like, oh my God, what if he knew I thought that? What if he knew I thought that when I was attending his teachers? Because I would have these really, the thoughts would pop in that were really not, the intrusive ones. I don't know, never mind. It scares me, that's all.
Okay, so those are called what called cognition, and second is quality is a gyan or knowledge of the exact what it is, knowing of the what it is. So third quality is a luminosity or clarity. So this three is also result of the Buddha nature. So that is called the qualities.
I don't know. I would presume so.
Are we
Yes.
practicing the Tara today?
Yes. So I'm thinking to stop here.
So number 44?
Yes, we stop 44 and we start 45.
Okay.
There's next.